What's up, people? Perry here with episode number 25 of Surviving Creatively. And we are here in our main world. And as you can see, things look a little bit different now. As you can see, I have switched over to the vanilla texture pack from the modded BD Craft texture pack that I had. Sorry, I couldn't find another word for texture pack, but as you can see, things look a little bit different. I'm gonna have to make some modifications and stuff like that. As you can see, the palace itself doesn't really look that great. In my opinion, it doesn't really look that great, but we're gonna have to make some changes, such as these bricks right here kind of clashes with that blue. Also the glass, which I never really liked in Minecraft, and is one of the reasons why I actually decided to use a modded texture pack. That will have to be changed. And the one thing that you have to understand is that before, when I built this, I didn't have the stained glass that was available to me, and so I think that might be something that will work out just fine for us. I don't know. I've been working on kind of a test pattern. You might see some of it as we go along, but yeah, I'm just trying to figure out just exactly what type of sort of feel that I want to go for, especially with vanilla. It's going to be a little bit of a issue, especially with the lighting, because I used to use glowstone, and with glowstone doesn't really look that good to me, so I want to try and minimize on that. So we'll see how it goes, but that I'll kind of do in the background. I'll show you little bits here and there, but for the next few episodes, at least the next few episodes, what we're going to be doing is concentrating on building a castle. And for those of you who maybe don't know how to build a castle, or maybe are looking to make a castle that looks a little bit better, hopefully this will help you out and give you some ideas in order to, just make your castle that much better. So these are kind of like the steps that I go through in order to build one of these. The first thing that I will mention to you is that before you go into any planning stage or anything like that, especially with a structure, something like that, something like a palace, or in our case, a castle, come up with a story. Come up with some sort of background into it. Why is it there? What is it doing there? Stuff like that. And the reason why I say that is that it gives you ideas. It gives you kind of details to put into your castle, and it makes it that much more believable or realistic. And that's something that I usually tend to go to. I let my mind wander, let my imagination try to imagine something, that usually wouldn't happen, right? And that's what you can do. But the first thing that you want to do when you're planning your castle is to pick a location. Locations are very important. Now you got to think about this in the world of building castles. Where are you going to build a castle? Obviously, you're not going to build it in the middle of a valley like right here, because it becomes easy pickings for those that are attacking it to get at it, right? So usually a mountain range or something of that nature, or a hill, any sort of high ground, is usually a good location for a castle. And one of the things that I had to plan going through this world was to figure out where the different peaks were. And as you can see here, I have this sort of cross, or an X, or whatever, however you look at it. But I went throughout this world, and I picked out all the different peaks. There's one down there, and there's one over there. You can't really see it right now because it's behind all the fog, but you can see right here I have 3 different peaks, and I thought that was a pretty cool grouping of peaks in our world. And I thought that this would be an excellent location for a main castle, and that's what we're going to be building here, is kind of like the main castle. And the story that I kind of put on this is that some king wanted some sort of stronghold to keep all their treasures and all that stuff. And this would be an excellent area to put sort of like a stronghold, right? Or somewhere where you could be easily protected. And this large mountainside, it seems to do the trick for me. I mean, you take a look at this. If you're looking from the attacker's perspective, right? Look from down here. It's a long way down. Check this out. Can you imagine how formidable this would be for someone to be charging up, and then how are you going to get into that? I mean, even before we've built anything, it already looks, very imposing in nature. And so that's the best thing that we could do to start the planning process, is to pick out a good location. And this one looks pretty good. So the next thing that we want to do is to pick out designs and go through the whole planning process of actually constructing the castle. And in order to do that, I have to go off into our planning world, and from there I can better illustrate to you the different aspects of the castle and what needs to go into it in order to make it what it is, which is some sort of structure. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll see you in just a bit. So here we are in our planning world. As you can see, this is a scaled down version of the area where we're going to be designing our castle. And this right here is our finished castle design. Now, there are lots of different design elements and stuff like that. We'll all go into detail in the next coming episodes, but what I wanted to do is to kind of give an overview of what this basic design is. So for this castle in particular, you want some sort of a stronghold, somewhere where you can keep things safe, and that's what this is called. This is called the keep. It's somewhere where you keep your valuables, you keep your family. Basically, you got to think about it as a isolated area where all the important things are kept safe and are being able to be well protected, basically. And so what you have to take into account is that you're going to be putting in things like a vault for your valuables, obviously, some sort of living quarters for whoever is in there, kitchens and dining areas and stuff like that. Because if you think about it, you want this area to be pretty much isolated, because when you have attackers coming at you, you're going to be holed up in there for a while. Well, you want to plan for a while. And so you pretty much want this area to be self-sustaining. So that's what that is. And you can see that the keep itself is the tallest thing around. And the reason for that is that, well, I was using my imagination, and I would think that if I was, building some sort of castle, I would want some sort of structure or command structure to be in an area. You want them to be in a centralized location where they're able to kind of coordinate the defense of the castle. And the best way to do that is to have them in the middle of all the action, right? So what I'm thinking is that the keep should be the tallest thing around, so that you have a nice 360-degree view of the entire area. Now, it's not perfect. I mean, there are certain things that kind of obstruct your view, such as that tower over there, but there are certain design elements that you kind of have to take into account when building it. The next thing that you want to do is to figure out where you want to put your towers. Now, the keep itself, it has multiple towers in it. You can see by the circular structures right here. Your towers may differ from, you may want to come up with your own design for a tower, and that would be pretty cool too. But for the most part, they're usually round in shape, and the reason why they're round in shape is so that you can be able to see from different angles, right? Usually, I've seen square ones before, but for the most part, most of them are circle. You can see lots of different towers here and here. Also here, you can see a little tower right there. Towers here and here. And the next thing that we want to do is to make what is called the ring of protection. So the keep is basically like a last line of defense. The ring of protection is your first line of defense, and you can have multiple rings, I guess, around your keep, but for the most part, I think one is good enough, in my opinion. But I'm thinking that this area itself is pretty formidable. Like I was saying before, when we were standing in our attacker's position, the place itself looked pretty daunting to try and overcome. But so we have a ring of defense, and what I ended up doing was kind of designing with the landmass in mind. And as you can see right here, there's this element right here. The mountainside itself had kind of a sloping down effect right here, and I thought it would be kind of cool to design the towers with that in mind. And you can see right here we have a tower that's on this level, and it kind of slopes down towards this way. So that's something that you can keep in mind when designing. Design with the landscape involved in it. Over here I've built sort of like an archway, and that's because there was this empty space in between. You can see right here, this is where the original mountain was, and then from there I've installed all these bricks that go over top of it. And then there was another pillar right here, and over here it kind of connects to the rest of the mountain. And this I thought was a pretty good area to put another tower, and it gives a pretty good vantage point to kind of dissuade attackers from attacking, right? So that's the ring of protection. You can see on this side though that I don't have any sorts of rings of protection, and one of the reasons why was that in my opinion there wasn't really anywhere for me to put any sort of towers. And the other reason was that I wanted somewhere to fit in this palace area. Now for you that may differ, but I thought it was a pretty cool opportunity. And when I was thinking about the whole story of it, is that because we couldn't fit in some towers right here, maybe we had sort of like satellite castles. So there's one here, and then there's one over there. This one right here, I'm thinking kind of like a fortress out projecting out into the ocean. This right here, I took advantage of the fact that there was sort of an outcropping right here. I thought it would be pretty cool to put a castle right there. And then over here, there was another outcropping. And from there, I was able to design sort of like this funky looking castle. I don't know if that's going to be the final design, but I think it looks pretty cool itself. I think I said that it'd be kind of like a prison or something like that. I don't know. In my thinking, the story or the lore of this area, we'll kind of figure it out as we go along, and especially when we start filling in the finer details, we'll be able to figure out just exactly the key story elements that go into each bit of the this area. So if you think about it, because we don't have any protection for the keep on this side, I was thinking that this castle will kind of provide protection for invaders coming in from here or from here, and then this other castle will be able to do the same for areas over here and over here. So kind of creating sort of like a 360 degree area of protection. And like I was saying, you want to coordinate all those attacks from here, and then I don't know how you would be able to communicate back in those days to your satellite castles, but I think it was a pretty cool design element. And this is what I basically go through in order to design what you see here, is that I'm able to use my imagination, imagine what's not there, and come up with different stories of how things come about, why things are the way they are. You could see there, this right here, this is a really cool element, is that the way that you have a focal point right here, and then it kind of cascades down like so. You hear me talk about this a lot, and I really use size to my advantage, especially when you want something to grab your attention, like something like that, and then your eye can move much more easily like so. So that's going to be it for this episode, actually. I'm sorry it's a bit of a short episode, but I wanted to kind of keep this, the whole basic structure of a castle separate in a separate episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to hit the like button if you so choose. Don't forget to leave your comments on anything, and don't forget to ask questions if you have any questions of your own. I'm more than willing to answer them for you, and maybe you have some ideas yourself. Don't forget to leave them in the comments below as well. And if you're new to this channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Keeps you up to date on everything that goes on in it. So that's it for me. Always remember, keep your head up, and I'll see you in the next one.